This is Lyndon Porco, the star of Leprechaun Returns, and you're listening on Don't Get Out There Horror Movie Review Podcast. Stay tuned.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
To the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Review Podcast, powered by the Roll Up Network. I just want to thank all our fans and listeners. We really appreciate our old school support and our new school support. Really appreciate all of you new listeners. The episode's been booming. Halloween 4, I guess. This is Michael Myers month, and our episode's doing great. And stay tuned for possibly another Michael Myers episode coming up real soon. Before we jump into tonight's episode, I just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. If you haven't seen our social medias, we have some new shirts, new apparel out. Check that out. The shirts are awesome. Not only do we have our store, but we have our blog, our celebrity shout-outs, our episodes, our interviews, and all of our social medias. You know, we have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We're on all of them. Try and give you content on everything we possibly can. So just check that out. And the last thing I'm going to shout out is just our blood donors. We have a one-time, donor, and we have monthly reoccurring. We get a lot of fans who ask how they can help us. Just check out our website and our blood donors and see what fits you best. If you want to help out, we don't require anything. But if you want to support us, we'd really appreciate the support. But tonight is Brother Mike's pick. We're getting away from film reviews a little bit, and he chose a really fun episode for us. Mike, go ahead and tell us what you picked.
Yeah,
on a full moon, no doubt.
Oh, by God, full moon. Look, we've kicked this around as a bonus show for a long time, and a little peek behind the curtain. This time of year, it's really hard to schedule a bonus show. There's just a lot going on in everyone's lives. So I just decided to kind of put it on the forefront and do it as a normal episode. We are pitching a sequel and or reboot to any film we want. There are really no tight rules to this, in my opinion. You can have a sequel to, even though there's already a new one a couple years ago, you could pitch a sequel to Halloween 1978, or you could pitch a sequel to Jason Goes to Hell, or you could pitch a sequel to Beetlejuice. You could pitch a sequel to Halloween 3, which I don't think anyone on this show has done. So you could do whatever you want to do to any movie. And, even a retcon is fine. So that's kind of, again, some loose rules, but the general idea is we're going to pitch a sequel to each other or a reboot and kind of give it a yay, nay, comments, whatever. And then we hope to hear from all of you what you think of our ideas, which I think this is a fun interaction episode. Kind of come, to Twitter or Facebook or wherever and let us know what you think. And then maybe give us some of your ideas. And before our next episode, we can read those back and kind of talk about them a little bit. So I think that'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, man, I'm excited. And another thing, I love doing movie reviews. It's literally the lifeblood of the show. But it was fun to get away and do a little something different, especially since we have another big movie review coming at you this week. I think it was kind of nice to not have two in a week. And so it really worked out perfectly. And I just want to say to everyone here, so you know, evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. Oh, sorry.
What movie is that from?
The Boogeyman. The Boogeyman's out to get us all.
He is an apex predator.
Nobody talks like that. So is Randy Orton. Move on.
Alrighty, fellas, any opening thoughts before you just jump right into it? All right, I'm going to kick us off. Oh, no.
Can't wait for y'all to shit on mine.
Yeah, I just want to say one of mine has already been shit on in the group chat, so it's ought to be great.
These are all of our original ideas. I'm going to kick us off. If you listen to our episode that I picked last December, I chose Saw 6. In our Saw rankings, I think all of us had a problem with Saw 3D. I don't think any of us had it ranked too highly in our rankings. So I did a Saw 6 ending redone. All right, here's what happens. Jill runs out the room, and she sees Mark Hoffman ram the bear trap through the window and the bars. Mark survives, and Jill hides, just like in Saw 6. But instead of making out of the building, Hoffman finds her, killing her, via the original reverse bear trap. William Easton's family is freed and report to the police what they went through. Or not William Easton's, the other family. I'm sorry. Mark is home recovering, and the news of Jill Tuck's body being found dead is on the news. Dr. Gordon simultaneously sees the news report as well, but us, the audience, still doesn't know he's out for Mark. Mark, a few hours later, leaves his home to try and cover his tracks and is ambushed by Dr. Gordon and comrades, just like in Saw 3D. Mark has his leg chained in the original room, and Dr. Gordon reminisces as he sees his amputated foot and sees the saw. Hoffman reaches for a saw, but Gordon pulls it from his reach and says, "I don't think so," just like in 3D. He keeps the original hacksaw, just for memento, and tells Hoffman, "Game over," and slams the door. So basically all I did was just get rid of Saw 3D altogether, just add about 25, 30 minutes to... I would rather have a 2-hour Saw 6 than 1.5 hours of Saw 3D and the pink blood and the terrible traps and the horrible acting from Bobby Dagan and crew. So I just go ahead and wrap Saw 6 up in a nice little tight bow and just end that amazing franchise. To me, I know everyone's not the biggest Saw fans, but 1 through 6, if 6 ends like that instead of having 3D, I don't have a bad movie in those 6 movies. I think that wraps it up pretty nicely. That's just my new ending.
I get that.
No, I'm for that. Well, first of all, Saw 3D sucks. So it sucks on a relative scale because it's the worst in the Saw franchise, but there are worse horror sequels out there. So I want to make that very clear. It's just the worst in that franchise. So I'm fine with getting rid of that completely and wrapping it up the way you did. Yeah, I'm for it. I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, if Saw 3D is the worst sequel that you have in your franchise, or at least, I mean, that's not that bad. I mean, Lord have mercy, there's a lot worse than that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not, and I said this during the Saw rankings. I'm not the biggest. I waited a long time to watch them all, so they're not really fresh in my mind. So I really had to just sit there and listen to you and go, all right, now which one, what happens next? Like, so I'm. Hey, I'm all for it. I'll take your word for it. You're the expert on Saw.
Yeah, I mean, I like that too. I would greenlight that in a hurry.
Yeah. I mean, now I will say this, Nico. 3 hours of a Saw movie is a little.
No, I mean you can make
a little
that
rough.
2
I'm not
hours.
gonna lie to you.
You get the instead of showing Dr. Gordon right at the very beginning of Saw 3D after that horrible opening trap that's in the middle of the freaking Wall Street or whatever, you just have Dr. Gordon, get that. Like terrible. That CM Punk or whatever pop that you get that he got a couple weeks ago. That big pop, get Dr. Gordon back. I'd love it.
That's called a Road Warriors pop or a Steve Austin pop, depending on when you grew up.
That's my first pitch or redo of a movie.
Okay, yeah.
Brian, go ahead.
I'm in on that. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, just word of warning: my first 2 that I'm going to do are a little bit longer. So the first one I'm gonna pitch is the title. I called it Scream 1973. So it's basically a prequel. But I do feel like it kind of. I feel like that it really, and I've had a few people look at it too. And all right, so it opens up where we want to establish this group of high school friends here. And again, this is in 1973. The first character, we got Maureen Roberts, who we'll know later as Maureen Roberts Prescott. She's one of those pretty girls, but somewhat quiet, but popular. I didn't really have an actress named for her. One of her friends, Emerson, so like a popular cheerleader, homecoming queen type. I kind of thought Sarah Michelle Gellar from I Know What You Did Last Summer. She used to, her history here is that she used to date Henry, who we'll meet later, and she's trying to make him jealous here with Tyson, who we'll also meet later. I actually had Danielle Panabaker kind of in mind, but obviously she probably is a little bit too older now to play a high school girl, but just her look anyway. Henry Loomis, preppy jock, obviously Billy's eventual dad, currently dating Maureen, but it's a kind of a toxic relationship, kind of in somewhat of a love triangle with Cotton Weary, who somewhat nerdy, lover of horror movies. His past histories, he grew up and dated and still in love with Maureen, picked on by Henry a lot, obviously. Chelsea, there's another girl. She's athletic type girl. best friends with Maureen and Emerson, but you can kind of tell that she's closer with Maureen. And Tyson, athletic jock player, best friends with Henry, also picks on Cotton. And lastly, Nico is my character's name here. Comic relief stoner, basically Chewy from Friday the 13th, 09. No relation. I just happened to pick Nico. Don't know where that.
Stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate.
Anyway, so we're going to establish these characters in high school in Woodsboro in the early 70s, like I said. It's the last day before a long weekend. It's close to Halloween. Maybe we have a cameo from somebody, perhaps a theater teacher with the last name Meeks, who would actually kind of be a little Easter egg, would end up being Randy's dad. Another cameo from Henry Winkler type lookalike. Obviously, future Principal Hembry. I want him to look exactly like Fonz from Happy Days, as kind of a meta reference to that. And obviously, it's around the same time period too. Yeah. Maybe have a teacher with the last name be Mocker, in a reference to Stu as well. Yeah. But okay, so this is kind of an iffy thing. Some people had a problem with it, some people didn't. But I want to have like a whole lot of people here kind of dressed up as Ghostface and screwing around, because to me, I want to make Ghostface not look exactly the same, but I want it to be Woodsboro's mascot back then. Or something, and okay. I don't know, Woodsboro Marauders I came up with, the Phantoms. Anyway, it could be a possible explanation to me is like why that costume is so plentiful in Woodsboro, and they changed their mascot obviously before '96 or whatever. But Wes Craven wanted that costume could be found at any store that sold costumes, hardware stores or whatever, and that's what Wes Craven wanted anyway. So that was kind of how I wanted to present that. In my head, it's not exactly the same, but it's close enough that kind of what it'll turn into. All right, so I picture Maureen getting an almost kind of threatening but very strange letter in her locker. Get a jump scare by Chelsea, who tells her about the letter, and Chelsea blows it off and changes the subject. We're asking her about being ready for the trip this weekend to Henry's dad's cabin. Maureen kind of talks about how weird it'll be to have like Henry and Cotton both there at the same time, since she's been romantically involved with both of them at one point. Chelsea's just horny and blows it off more, but this kind of establishes the whole history there. I want more dialogue throughout the school day, kind of establishing the characters. But that evening at football game, more character kind of dynamic being established. Something happens, not real sure what, but to Maureen, from whoever her quote unquote stalker is, perhaps like a close call, or else her car is vandalized. Emerson's there to kind of comfort her, drives her home. They talk a little bit more about establishing that relationship dynamic with them and Henry and Tyson, and kind of mentions how she maybe even tried to date Cotton, but was still hung up on Maureen. And to me, like that, that establishes that breakup is relatively new. And Cotton obviously there too is established as a lifelong friend, possibly neighbor, like I said, to Maureen. Next day, we have a scene with them meeting up at Maureen's to kind of go to the cabin. My head is cabin in the woods, the start of that with them all meeting up. On the way up, they stop at a gas station perhaps and meet a guy named Neil Prescott. Again, 09 Friday kind of comes to mind with Jared Padalecki type character. He's local. Chelsea flirts with him, but he has glancing looks with Maureen. Henry sees it, instantly doesn't like him, but everyone else does, and they invite him along, to kind of get where they're going and have some beers. Nico's like best friends with him immediately. While at the cabin, way up in the woods, no landline. Obviously, shit starts happening. Cotton kind of tells a scary story to the group, establishes more of his like horror movie knowledge. Gets into kind of a discussion about the idea of prequels, like, what if a prequel to Psycho or whatever, because like at this point in the 70s, the trend of like sequels or prequels, didn't really start, besides like Sherlock Holmes or Dracula or whatever. So Cotton's kind of a mixture of Randy and Mickey from Scream 2 in my head. Nico puts on the Ghostface costume. Again, they were super plentiful because of being the school mascot possibly, and jump scares them. Establishing that the costume is there with them. This would also, to me, tie in into the reason why Billy kind of chose this costume later in Scream 1. Maureen and Henry end up fighting over her flirting with the new guy, Neil. Henry leaves drunkenly and has sex with Chelsea. They're caught by Maureen. Chelsea immediately feels terrible. Maureen runs off crying. Neil comforts her. And Neil and Maureen kind of share a moment, discussing about how she wants to move to Hollywood. And she shares, wanting to act one day, kind of
Nice.
tying into
touch.
Scream 3.
Nice touch.
Emerson and Tyson go off to have sex. Emerson leaves to get some water, leaves Tyson alone, who is killed. Emerson shows up to the group at some point, all cut up herself. Cotton tries to fight Henry over him, breaking Maureen's heart, and is beaten up pretty badly himself, kind of reinforcing all of this tension in the group. But now there's like a secondary plot of trying to figure out, who's killed Tyson and who the hell cut up Emerson. Emerson says whoever it was had on, Nico's costume, and now he can't find it. So the finger kind of gets pointed at him. They throw him in a room and lock the door until someone can go get help. Cotton volunteers to go get the help, and Nico's kind of killed in the locked room eventually. I have like kind of one more act. This is my third act here. Does anybody want to say anything before then? Or
nah, brother, you got me so far. Yeah, you got me so far, man.
All right, so he's found eventually. Fingers are pointed. People are thought to be dead but aren't. Chelsea's killed. Henry and Neil both are thought to be dead but survive, kind of Dewey style. Emerson's exposed as the killer. Her motive was simply jealousy over Maureen and Henry. But just before she kills Maureen, Cotton shows up with a cop with the last name of Riley, Tatum and Dewey's kind of dad or relative or something. Emerson's killed by the cop. We find out the reason Emerson was all cut up earlier was kind of self-inflicted wounds, so she didn't look like she was the killer. Maureen is shown, standing outside with Neil, and I picture, kind of while he's in the ambulance. Henry can kind of be seen in his ambulance, but like looking at them and can, I don't know, you kind of get this darker feeling. So then we fast forward to 1995 or the quote unquote distant future. We pan across the Prescott residence to show a certificate that now shows Maureen Richards' last name is Prescott. Maureen, played by Lynn McCrae, de-aged, if possible, is huddled in the office, whispering to someone on the phone, possibly even takes a break to hear, Nev Campbell's voice yelling to her, maybe saying, she's meeting Tatum and she'll be home later. Maureen goes back to whispering, saying that Neil's heading out of town, but, that they have some things to discuss and they'll meet up at some park or something. We cut to the park. During the day, Maureen is sitting with Liev Schreiber's Cotton Weary on a park bench. You get the impression that they've had multiple conversations about, some certain subject here, but Cotton asks if she's quote unquote told Sid yet. And, Maureen tells him after some pushing by Cotton that, it was a hard time in her life. Her and Neil were having a lot of problems, and that she wasn't the only person that he wasn't the only person that she'd been seeing. To Cotton's dismay, he's told that she's been seeing Henry Loomis, and that there had been others that she was ashamed about to that point in her life, and that she isn't, seeing, that she isn't sure who Sydney honestly belongs to. That thing kind of stays in Scream 3 continuity with, Roman, obviously with that sentence, but implying that, Cotton could possibly also be Sydney's father. She asked him, not to contact him anymore, that she and Neil's relationship is good now, that, he agrees, and we kind of like pan to an alley to see a dark figure taking pictures of them, and then we cut to the credits. And it's kind of left ambiguous about who it is, but, now we know someone knows or thinks that they're having an affair. And so this, to me, kind of continues to not ruin any surprise in Scream 96 either. Okay. Like I said, I feel like that this stays in continuity with the whole franchise, but it also like leaves even a little possible story that would lead right up to Maureen's murder, if needed. Also feel like it makes 2 and especially 3 mean a little bit more with his backstory. Yep. That's why I kind of had it in that way as well. And I wanted to show some history because we know that their affair is Billy's motivation in the first one. And at the end, I was trying to imply like why Cotton would possibly be framed. So anyway, that's all I had. Sorry about talking so long.
No, one thing I have off the top of my head, Brian, is that makes, and as much as I still don't think I'd like the movie that much, that makes 3 make more sense.
And that's what I was trying to
your
do.
movie makes Scream 3 make more sense from a Maureen Prescott standpoint, because in that movie, all of that feels kind of lodged in there. And it's
even Roman.
Yeah, all of that's a little out of place. So I'll give you credit for tying that up, because I don't think anyone cared about it then. And I think they kind of gloss over Scream 3 now, honestly. As far as, just some stuff you hear about this upcoming film, and Scream 4, they don't really talk about Scream 3. They only kind of talk about stuff that takes place in Woodsboro. And so I'll give you credit for at least making Scream 3 hold a little weight, in my opinion. So that, to me, would make Scream 3 a little more enjoyable.
Yeah, no, I really like that. First of all, I'm a big fan of sequel or prequels that are done when they tie in a lot of, they tie up, they answer questions I didn't even know I wanted to ask.
Right.
And that's what you did. And Mike, you touched on that there. It makes Scream 3. That's another thing. We all pretty much agree. I think Scream 3 is the worst of the franchise.
Right.
But that would make Scream 3 better in retrospect. Like, then you go back and watch it in totality, the series in totality, and you're like, oh man, Scream 3 is a good movie now. So I really like that idea.
Brian, is I think that's very impressive, just for the fact that you have character names very well written out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's brilliant, honestly, and I think that would be a very good prequel, and I think the Scream franchise would benefit from it if it ever got made.
My thought is we need to get some patents on these ideas before
we need to get that
LLC.
Well, yeah, because honestly, man, that honestly, and look, I'm down for this Scream sequel that'll be coming out in January, but I mean, kind of hard. That would make, I don't know what they're going to do with Scream 5/Scream or whatever you want to call it, but that would make, again, it makes 3 make a ton of sense. And I'm not a big fan of prequels. I'm really not, unless they make a lot of sense. Like, I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning is a okay movie, but we talked about it in that movie where I wasn't asking any of these questions. Like, I don't care to have any of these questions answered. And so a prequel to that movie to me made 0 sense. Or like, I don't really need a prequel to the movie Psycho, which I hear is something that may be coming down the pipe. I don't need that, I don't think, anyway. But this is something I think would make Scream 2 a little bit better and make Scream 3 a lot better. And so with that being said, yeah, man, I'd greenlight that in a heartbeat, dude.
And I don't know if people would have problems with it or not, but to me, like, this would kind of make, up until through Scream 3, like, yeah, it's about Sydney, but the whole overarching story is really about Maureen Prescott, and not necessarily. And Sydney's just kind of a victim of the whole thing,
right?
Anyway, that was
that
was the one I put the most work into. So
and the key,
I like it.
Right, and the key difference with yours and or just a Scream franchise in general, like, I think backstory would kind of help, just because some of the movies allude to backstory stuff that happened in the past and they don't flesh it out very well. You take a movie like Halloween in 78, I don't think Michael Myers needs a backstory as far as his motive and stuff. I think this gives the idea of what Ghostface becomes a little bit of a more clear picture, and not just some dude running around in a white ghost mask. I think it helps the franchise out a little bit. So I'm in favor of that, man. Yeah. Well, your Scream sequel or your Scream idea may be better than mine.
Can I ask you through a question, just something that came to my mind? And I don't mean this in an insulting way, but if you make a prequel to Scream, does that make the opening scene of the first Scream worse or not as good, since there's an established Ghostface already?
I think.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I wanted it to look a little bit different too, almost like this old piratey looking, like, where it's just a little bit of, like, enough to where you could be like, oh, okay. Well, like,
that's where Ghostface drew inspiration from.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I think it doesn't hurt it.
I don't think so. I was asking the question.
Yeah, same. I don't.
Well, I definitely don't want to do that.
Well, I think it may even help it, because then you have, it's not just some random murder. This thing, here's this thing again. Like, I mean, we get Maureen Prescott's murder, which is, again, alluded to, not seen, but in the first film, it's alluded to, and then you get, the murder of Drew Barrymore's character, and that is just kind of random, like, what's going on in Woodsboro? Well, now all of this makes a little more sense as an audience member. But like if you watched it from Scream 73 through this, upcoming Scream movie in January, I think that would be a nice little flow chart of film. I mean, I tell you right now, it better make Scream 3 better because it needs it. Scream 3 needs Brian's script. If I were them, I'd want to. I'm about to send your number to somebody. Kevin William, if you're listening, first of all, big fan. Please come on the show. According to Brian, you have a big dick and you swing it. So I don't know what that's about.
Big script writing dick.
Yeah. Same thing. All right, here's my shitty. All right, let's stay in the world of Scream. Here's my shitty Scream idea. And I am going to try to flesh it out. Maybe Brian will like this. I don't know. I think Brian will like it, and the other two won't because Nico doesn't like meta, and so it's good. And by the way, Brian, I hope in that Scream prequel you have meta commentary on prequels. That's kind of, I mean, obviously, if you fleshed out a whole script.
I did. I said that. It was in Cotton's little story. He talked about the prequels, but there's not really prequels happening in the 70s, right?
Right. He kind
of makes it talk about like, oh, what if there was a prequel to Psycho, blah, blah, blah. And like, as just, that was my little tie in there.
Right. Okay, I'll go. I'm kind of scared after that, but shooter's got to shoot. Here we go. So my idea, essentially, and I had this before, I believe even the announcement of this most recent Scream movie that's coming up. My idea was to kind of take the concept of New Nightmare from Wes Craven and do it with Scream. And I would set this movie in 2023, so that's 25 years, okay? To the date of the release of the first Scream. And how you get all these people together. Obviously, these actors are playing themselves, just like New Nightmare, okay? You get them there because there's a new Scream sequel coming out, and we're doing it on the 25th anniversary of the original Scream. And so all the actors are in the same place at the same time. Now, I'll be honest, I don't think you could get Rose McGowan to do this film. For whatever reason, she's just not proud of her Scream past, which I don't get, but whatever. I mean, she's the only one that really doesn't hype up any of the Scream stuff because I don't think she likes the genre, and that's fine. But everyone else, except for her and Wes Craven, are in the same place at the same time. And to me, from there, you come here's this red carpet event, like all these people are catching up, and somehow, some way, within that theater setting, a real life Ghostface or a killer. Somebody dies at this premiere screening, okay? And then everyone just kind of chalks it up to, someone not playing a prank because that's using the term lightly, but like somebody is trying to do these, fuck with these Scream people. And it's a big news story, and people are they're blaming the franchise, kind of like they got blamed in the real past, in the real world, for a certain murder. There's the Scream murders, which is a big news story from like the early 2000s. Kind of the news is blaming the Scream franchise for this murder taking place in the first. I don't know who you kill, okay? But it really doesn't matter who you kill at this premiere because I want the OG cast of high school kids to still be around as the movie goes along, okay? I think it would be too on the nose to do like the, Matthew Lillard and the guy who plays Billy it's slipping my mind right now. But
Skeet Ulrich. Yeah,
Skeet Ulrich. Like, I don't want it to be them. I don't want them to be Ghostface. But like, look, I don't have a detailed plot here, but again, think New Nightmare, but with the backdrop of not Woodsboro. Obviously, it would be somewhere else. But I would take that concept of this killer taking inspiration from their movies while axing off the cast of those movies. And I understand that's not everyone's cup of tea. I got it. But I think it'd be really fucking cool, especially in the 25-year anniversary. Sorry, go ahead, Dustin.
No, you're fine.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh boy.
I was just thinking.
And I mean, again, I've thought of that idea for a long time, just because Scream is so meta as it is, and you can't get any more meta than what New Nightmare is, honestly. Like, that's the most meta movie ever, to be quite frank. And I do think,
pretty much.
yeah, and I do think that would work with the Scream franchise. And ultimately, I'm going to spoil the end. And I could see this going either way for any of you. Ultimately, Ghostface, and we do get Ghostface. Maybe a little bit of a different costume change, since we get that with Freddy, where Freddy has a different look in New Nightmare. So maybe you kind of do something a little different with Ghostface, but still that same similar vein. And you look, if Wes Craven were with us, that's the easy choice to me. I don't know why, but I think that would be a lot of fun.
Really?
But I don't want to retcon a real man's passing. Okay. So here's a good chance to me. Could you have it be Kevin Williamson? That was my first go-to. He's kind of killing off his creation in a way. I think that's kind of fun.
It's David Arquette.
Honestly, that would not be that bad. I could see one of the OG3 being the real killer in this film. Maybe that's the one time you could have Neve Campbell be the killer instead of Sidney Prescott, because everyone's always wanted her to be. And it turns out she's a real life killer instead. Like, that's kind of cool. So, like, those are my two options there, is to have Neve or Kevin Williamson kind of kill his creation, like, right before our eyes. And so everyone dies except for Neve Campbell and Kevin Williamson in my script. So that's kind of where my idea is.
You could have them like role reverse from the real movie too. You could have Neve and Kevin Williamson be the killers, and then like almost in the same similar situation.
Getting woozy here, man.
Speedo Rich and it
would be awesome to hear Neve go. Lillard. It'd be really cool to hear Neve get woozy here, man.
That's almost a mixture of New Nightmare and 13 fanboys, kind of.
Right. It is. It's a very similar thing.
Too, so
right.
I like it. I would watch it.
I like this a lot more than when you originally pitched it, because when I heard you originally pitch it, I was thinking New Nightmare, literally. So I'm like, so it's a fucking demon that's coming back, and that's the real Ghostface. So now that you explained it, I like it a lot more. And here's my pitch: it is David Arquette for two reasons. Number one, he's pissed off that all these years later, people still saying that Dewey is the worst cop in movie history. So he's also coming after you three. And then also, David Arquette.
I would love to be in this movie. Are you kidding?
You know, David Arquette's documentary that was about him done a couple years ago, which is fantastic, is called "You Cannot Kill David Arquette." So he can't die in this movie. You can't kill David Arquette. He's the killer.
And
green light. I like it.
And before you go, Nico, I'm for that, because I think in this movie you have to reference these actors' other things that they've been in. So with Matthew Lillard, you get Scooby-Doo stuff like like Zoinks and stuff like that. Like I think you could really hit that home with some of the other stuff they've been in. Neve Campbell's been in other stuff, the Crack, all that stuff. And so I think that would be a lot of fun, man. And again, you have to, give your tip of the cap to Wes Craven, find a way to kind of work him in a little bit. Obviously he's passed, but like almost make that part of the plot. I don't know how. I haven't fleshed that out quite yet, but I do think you could involve literally everyone, but obviously Rose McGowan.
I'll be real quick. Mike, right before you said Kevin Williamson, I was thinking Kevin Williamson as well. I think that would be really smart, brilliant. The guy who wrote and helped create the franchise, he's like tired of being in the back, maybe. I'm just the writer. He kills them all. Or you could get Jamie Kennedy to say that King Kong ain't got nothing on me, and he just blazes everybody up like in Malibu's Most Wanted.
I tell you right now, I'm not going to lie to you.
I think Randy would be cool, though.
See, but remember, it's not Randy.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
I want to say this, and my character for Jamie Kennedy's to almost have him be the opposite of Randy, and have somebody else be much more knowledgeable about horror movies, and like this, and so like that way he doesn't. I don't want them to play watered down versions of their Scream characters. I want them to play themselves, kind of like Heather Langenkamp does not play Nancy. She plays that role completely different, in my opinion, anyway.
Right.
And so I really like kind of bringing something different to the table, and that's why maybe you have. Obviously, you turn the dial up on quote unquote yourself. Maybe have Neve be like a prima donna bitch or something. Like everyone loves Sidney Prescott. Well, fuck Nev Campbell. She's a bitch, you know, like something like that. That would be kind of cool. And, you know, as far as Jamie Kennedy goes, have him be the complete opposite of the lovable Randy and just be a complete tool bag.
Have him to be the point to where when people are saying, dude, you should know this. Remember in the movie, like you were pointing, and he's like, I don't know, fuckhead. I was reading a script. I don't know this shit.
Yeah,
you know,
that
like,
kind of stuff. Yeah. And have maybe somebody else be like, maybe have Skeet Ulrich be more knowledgeable in horror movies or, you know, whatever. He goes, well, remember what we did and this Scream, you know, in Scream 3, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like, fuck you, that movie sucked. We did it for the paycheck. Like, be very meta with it, you know? I think that'd be a lot of fun. So I'm glad. Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad that you know, that kind of got a little more love than I thought it would get. Okay. All right. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Like I said, I just misread or misunderstood what you were pitching when you brought it up in the text that time. So I'm with it.
All right. I got 3 green lights. Let's go, baby.
All right. So for my first one, this one is a sequel to a movie that Mike picked before. The name of this movie is called The Photographer. And I looked it up. There's only been 2 movies ever named The Photographer. One of them is a comedy from the year 2000. One of them is a horror movie, but it's rated PG and it's from 1974. So we're in the green light there. We're not going to get confused by anything when we say The Photographer. But what The Photographer is a sequel to 1 Hour Photo.
Okay.
So this one is the only one that's not 100% doable because obviously Robin Williams has passed away. And so the way I'm pitching is if he were still alive. Now, obviously we could substitute. We could pick a new Cy. But here's my pitch. It's been 20 years since the events of the original, and Cy Parrish is out of prison. Released on good behavior and deemed a non-threat, the opening scene sees Cy getting into a cab outside of a prison. He returns to the same town of the original, but not to stay, only to gather his belongings from a storage shed. The Yorkin family is also relocated. Cy knows this. We come to find out that he is kept in touch with former co-worker / apprentice Yoshi. Yoshi told him the Yorkins had moved, but didn't know where, only that they had moved to the southeastern coast. Cy believes this to be Charleston, South Carolina, as they had vacationed there. He remembered the pictures. Wow. Since Cy went away to prison, photo developers have become almost obsolete. So once in Charleston, he starts a new career as a freelance photographer under a new alias, Will Burson, playing off of Will Yorkin, and I believe her name was what, Emma Burson, or his harlot from the first movie.
Okay.
While pursuing the Yorkins and driving himself crazy with visions of revenge, Cy finds a new friend, a new companion, a new target. He meets Shelby, played by Emily Blunt. Suddenly, Cy finds himself following into the same routine he had before. He follows her. He photographs her. He covers his apartment with his pictures, or with her pictures. He's obsessed. He's in love. In his pursuit of his new muse, he forgets why he came here in the first place. He's much more visible around town. One day, Will Yorkin sees Cy at the park in his car, where he's taking pictures of the unsuspecting Shelby. When confronting him, Cy loses his cool and shatters his camera over Will's head. He ties him up and puts him in the trunk of his car. Now Cy knows he has to act fast. He gets the Yorkin address from Will's ID in his wallet. Now he has his original target's location, with one of them in his possession, and he still has Shelby. The events that unfold are much darker and much more violent than years ago. Multiple casualties ensue, and this time Cy won't have the chance to do this again. Our saga ends with Cy getting shot by the police after a long standoff. The sole survivor here, sadly, is Jacob Yorkin. All grown up, will the trauma that he's endured cause him to go down a dark path? This is hinted at as our screen fades to black.
Okay. I like it. I like it a lot.
Okay.
Hell yeah. First of all, I just love that character of Cy. And so to have that character back on screen, I think would be awesome. Just so unnerving and creepy and again, tragic, like we talked about on the show, like just a tragic character that's hard to feel bad for, if that makes sense. Like it's a very, you got to toe that line so perfectly, and that's what made Robin Williams so great. But I'm sure you could find someone else to fill those shoes that would do it really well.
Well, and I did see someone had tweeted about it, I think last week. There's an actor out there, or maybe it's not even an actor, I don't know. Someone has been doing a Robin Williams impersonation and has the mannerisms and the facial expressions down pat to the point he looks like Robin Williams. I don't remember. I couldn't find his name when I was looking for the tweet to cast him, but he would be a perfect person to use if this were to actually get made and we wanted to continue with the original character of Cy.
Well, and they're making a movie about Robin Williams' life, and the actor that they've got playing him, I haven't seen him actually act, but he looks just like him too.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of, because I saw clips of someone and I saw something about a Robin Williams movie, so maybe that's the same guy. But yeah.
Well, and what I like about this the most is that, you know, you almost feel bad for Cy in the first movie, but it's hinted at, his craziness is hinted at, but he never crosses that line. You get from him really that he just wants to be part of that family. And so he never has like an love obsession, but now after all these years, this is like a good, logical leap and next step for his character and the character arc to take that next step to being a psycho. I think that would be incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Sweet. I think that, man, again, I'd love to see that character back on screen. So because I think it's such a good psychological thriller character. Like, it's so perfect for what I want in a film. Just, again, very unnerving and very unsettling. And I think with this, you're not necessarily giving. I like that you're not giving backstory. You're adding layers instead. Like, I think that's a lot better than maybe what a 1 hour photo prequel. Like, I think to add more layers to the character, I think is a lot better. So yeah, man, big thumbs up on my end. One, I love 1 hour photos. So I would love to see a sequel to that film.
Same. And like I told you guys when we reviewed the movie, I'd forgotten how damn good it was. So I've watched it since we reviewed it. And God, this is such a good movie.
It's freaking great, man.
I would just love to see Robin Williams play an even darker character than he was. That would be really cool. Are any more thoughts on Dustin's Farago? I kind of feel pretty like what the hell?
All of ours have been greenlit. Let's go.
Made some awesome scripts, and I just got the foundation, and that's it. But my second one is this is a movie that Mike talked about 2 years ago when he stayed at our apartment. I've been sitting on this one for a while.
I know where you're going. Yeah.
This one might have some controversy too about who I pick, but I'm doing a Nightmare on Elm Street reboot, more modern one. And I just wrote, who's going to fill the boots of the iconic Robert Englund? A lot of people think Kevin Bacon would do a good job. He might, but he's not my first pick. I'm choosing Mr. Dacre Montgomery, best known as Billy from Stranger Things. I thought he did an incredible job. I think he did an incredible job in season 3 of playing a possessed dark character. So I want him to be my Freddy Krueger. The year is 2000, and instead of him kidnapping and killing kids, he's falsely accused by high school girls of sexual harassment. He's a PE teacher, and several of the high school girls find him very attractive. They try their hardest flirting with him, but no success. They report him to the police, but they find no evidence of his guilt. So the girls convince their parents to take matters in their own hands. They attack Fred Krueger, killing him on his own home by lighting him on fire. Fast forward to the present, and Fred has returned to kill his attackers' children. The only person I've really cast is Nancy, and I chose Haunting of Hill House star Victoria Pedretti. I think she would be a great Nancy, and she played a really sincere character in Hill House.
Love her.
I would like to see her play a powerful final girl now. And I've already hinted at this. I haven't told Mike this, but I've tweeted about this several times. I want to see James Wan do a slasher. I want to see him make a Freddy Krueger movie, super dark. There's not going to be many one-liners. Dacre is just going to be dark as hell, and I want to see that.
Okay. So you're retconning. So Reboot, you're retconning everything. I'm okay with that. I mean, I really think as long as you don't do what they did in 2010, which is shot for shot remake, which is a fun experiment in and of itself. Like, you guys wait until I pick 1998 Psycho eventually at some point, because I will be. So that'll be a fun episode, I think. I'm just glad you're not doing that. So to me, I've always wanted this franchise to continue in general. And if Robert Englund doesn't want to do it anymore, I think that's one, earned. He doesn't need to do it anymore. And two, other people, despite what people think, other people can play Freddy Krueger really well. I don't think Jackie Earle Haley was the problem in 2010. Now the makeup or the effects maybe, but his portrayal to me wasn't bad. So I'm fine with the actor you picked because again I love him in season 3 of Stranger Things. Like I'm a fan of that. I love Victoria Pedretti, especially as Love Quinn and You. She's fantastic in that role. So I could see her, kind of playing a quote unquote strong Nancy character. I'm a fan, man. Now you're going to draw some ire from a certain part of the crowd having him falsely accused of sexual whatever.
That's what I was about to say. That was my only issue is the falsely accused part. I think that's what I had a problem with 2010 was that the hint about being falsely accused. I think that if you make it, I mean, you make him a bad, evil bastard if he's not falsely accused, if it's really true. And so I think that to me, I would go that route. And like I said, you saw the prosthetics on Loomis for Halloween Kills. You can make anybody look similar to Robert.
I just went with the falsely accused angle just because it's different. I want him just to be, just a good looking coach. He's just doing his job, but he's got girls hitting on him, and he's not giving the time of day. And maybe these girls are just a little obsessed with him or something like that. So he won't give them the time of day. He's not going to be a criminal. So they kill him. And then he comes back as the killer. Just see something different. But I get it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I mean, I think I enjoyed the remake that we got more than the rest of you guys, but it definitely had its flaws. I mean, I said that when we did our rankings, and I think that this, first of all, the casting is phenomenal. So yeah, all on board with that.
Yeah, I'm on board with that cast. That's great.
I probably would have went with Ethan Hawke.
Freddy?
Or
Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt. All right.
No Brad Pitt. Maybe guys. Ethan Hawke. Maybe Edward
Norton.
But
I'll be honest.
I'm just saying that to fuck with y'all. I actually like your cast altogether.
I actually think not getting a more well-established name as Freddy helps the movie.
It does.
More than hurts it. So as much as people want Kevin Bacon to do it, and that's fine. Like if you ever did a Freddy TV series, like a good one, a serious one, not Freddy's Nightmares or whatever that crap was back in the day, a really good Freddy series on Netflix, I think Kevin Bacon is perfect for that. But if we're doing a big screen adaptation, remake / reboot, I love that casting. It's a younger guy. It makes sense. And whether you have him falsely accused or or maybe you decide to kind of tweak it and they toe the line of, is he innocent? Is he guilty? Kind of like 2010, but maybe a little bit better. Because like 2010 is just kind of gross, like kitty diddler type guy. Like that's the kind of like line they're towing there. Like I think that you could add some nuance to it and just kind of toe the line. That way he's still evil. You're not rooting for Freddy per se, but you're also not sure if he actually did the things he's accused of. I think there's a way to do that better than they did in 2010. So I'm on board with it.
Well, I
can't gloss over the fact that you just said kitty diddler on our show.
Well, that's what he went. That's what they hint at in 2010. What do you want me to do?
But the phrase kitty diddler. Anyway, go ahead.
Brian can cut it out if he wants.
I don't even remember what I was going to say now. Back to the movie. I was going to say, like, if you are going to make him possibly falsely accused, but you can still make him almost like a revenge plot, you're going to need to make, I think, the girls pretty damn evil, almost Craft,
right?
Almost like the Craft or like Wild Things, where they're just like they're plotting some shit, like they're the bad guys basically, and have Freddy be bad, but they're the basically the
only target them and their descendants when
I think that's the only way and I don't mind it. I just think, like you said, Brian, you're going to have to really do work on making 3 or 4, high school girls seem really fucking shitty. Like you're gonna have to really do your work there. So again, I'm fine with either direction. Now I don't want him to be just because I don't want to change your script. I don't want to make him guilty either. Like I like the nuance. I just think my only tweak would be the nuance. Like just is he innocent? Is he guilty? Like I think that makes for a story that you could, because again, I'm fine with false accusations. Like I get it, but like I think that nuance would make for a little bit of. They tried to do it in 2010, it didn't work. I think your script is a little bit better. is what I'm saying.
Oh, it's definitely better in 2010.
I really just want to see them get the roles.
Yes, green light.
Yeah. Well, me too. Like I'm with you. That is actually really great casting. Like that's where
the
your glue of the script
right.
is. I think that's fantastic. Those two.
You're right.
Well, they didn't do it in 2010. They got Freddie right. I don't care what anyone says. It's not his problem that the makeup and everything look like shit. I think Jackie Earle Haley, as we've seen in other stuff, is a really good actor. So I don't think that's his fault.
Just made him do
Rooney Mara can go to hell. That's what I said.
Serious, and it didn't work out well. It's just they didn't know what they wanted to do with Freddie. It felt like, but if we have nothing else, we can go ahead and go to Brian. Appreciate the support. I
still greenlight it, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so this is my other long one, so bear with me, but I promise my third one's not that long. Okay, so I named this one Halloween Retribution. That was actually a name of a script that was written as a follow-up to Resurrection that I kind of went into a little bit of a detail in our the end of Halloween 07 review. I took a little bit of some ideas from some I read in Halloween Return spec script, and I followed a lot of the same beats as kind of the original Halloween 6. Hell, I guess I should have just named it Halloween, because why the hell not at this point, right? There was only 5 or 6 of them that's named that. Anyway, I want this to be a follow-up to part 4, but it would retcon Halloween 5, 6, and Resurrection to not exist. The only sequel that this would be H2O, and that would kind of end the original timeline with Laurie killing Michael at the end of H2O. I would bring back Ellie Cornell as well. I realize that this needs to take place before 98 when H2O was made, if this is going to come before it. But this will be one of those movies where it kind of doesn't have to have H2O after it. But you could put it in your head canon if you really wanted to, because why the hell not? The Halloween franchise timelines are all fucked up anyway. But I take out all of the Cult of Thorns stuff. To me, the movie would open up at Jamie Lloyd's house. Still played by Danielle Harris. She's obviously grown up now, but lives alone. You can tell she kind of has some psychological issues. Rachel shows up to pick her up. It's implied that they're still close after all of these years. They're going to attend the execution of Michael Myers, who is finally being executed after multiple appeals time and time again by Loomis. So since Loomis has passed away, it's finally gotten pushed through and it's happening. Tommy Doyle meets up with them, and he's now like a Loomis type character. In conversation, it's implied that Jamie never forgave Loomis for trying to save Michael's life with these appeals. Like, why would Loomis be appealing the execution? Well, perhaps it's kind of brought up, by Tommy that he didn't really understand either, but he kind of felt like Loomis in his old age almost relied on Michael because it kind of gave him a purpose. Kind of like how Batman always kept the Joker around. In a sense, like one can't survive without the other. So during the execution, where Myers' face is never shown, tons of audience members there in attendance for the execution have replica Myers masks. It's kind of become a popular at the local stores, almost like a hockey mask or something along those lines. There's lots of whispers as Rachel and Jamie enter. The power's cut off. There's chaos and panic, people everywhere running around screaming. Myers is seen only in like flashes, as he grabs a guard's nightstick, breaks the end off, kills multiple people, takes one of their masks. Jamie is paralyzed, just kind of staring at her uncle as he approaches. Again, only flashes and chaos. And just like as he goes to stab her, Rachel jumps in front of her, and it kind of shows Jamie's face close up with blood splatter on it as she just screams into the camera. And it starts the credits right there, and plays the Mr. Sandman music. So that was just kind of like the opening bit there.
All right. Okay. Yep.
We get Haddonfield, Illinois, October 31st, first title call card. We hear the same DJ from Halloween 6. I don't know if you remember him, but he's the shock jock kind of Howard Stern type guy. We keep the same thing there, but we find out, that Halloween's been banned in Haddonfield, but the shock jock guy is just kind of putting on an underground rave / party in celebration of the anniversary of the Myers murders. He tells everyone the news of what happened at the execution, that Michael Myers has escaped, and how many people he killed, including Rachel Carruthers. We follow the same type of family, that whole dysfunctional family that's living in the Myers house. They're it's a whole another family altogether, though. Like, for the sake of this, like, I want to have the same characters, but not be Strode relatives at all. Okay. We're going to have the asshole dad, John, who's a real estate agent trying to sell the old Myers house, but nobody will buy it. Kara, late 20s, recently separated and divorced. That's important. Her 6-year-old son, Danny, the teenage brother, Tim, and the caring mother, Deborah. So we see Tim is eating breakfast at the kitchen, and he was who had the radio on in the kitchen listening to the DJ, Barry Sims. Perhaps we have a similar scene to the kitchen scene in part 6 where John's just borderline abusive to daughter Kara, but either way, he comes across as a real asshole, and there's no peanut butter on the penis.
Brian.
Yes.
Before you go, are you question same universe as Halloween 6 where it exists, or are we retconning?
We're retconning 5 and 6 in Resurrection.
Okay. So we're kind of fucking fixing. We're kind of fucking fixing this thing. Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
All right. So we've got a scene at the sheriff's office where they discuss the escape and are on high alert as it's expected Myers is on his way. Jamie shows up with Tommy to warn Sheriff Meeker, the same Meeker from 4. He's in his 70s now, kind of close to retirement, played by the same Bo Starr, who's actually 77 right now at the time of us recording this. So, he already knows and assures them they will not have a repeat of 1988. You can tell he doesn't really trust Jamie after the end of part 4, though. Maybe even makes a comment to Tommy after she walks away about not trusting her, that the evil is in this family blood. He's seen it firsthand, something like that. We see a familiar face coming to the sheriff's office. It's Nancy Stevens, Nurse Chambers. She's seen the news report and, it says she has some information for them and hands them a folder. We don't see what's in the folder, but she insists that she has something that Jamie needs to see. You can tell that there's some bad blood there since Jamie still has resentment towards Loomis and Marion, as Loomis has lived with her since his retirement. That's made canon and how the beginning of H2O. It's implied somehow that she helped Loomis keep them from executing Myers all these years. Jamie wants to hear none of it, and in fact causes a scene yelling, "It's your fault he's out. If they had executed him years ago, this would have never happened." Meeker interrupts and makes a comment about a family living in the old Myers house now. Struggling real estate agent who's having a problem selling the house. Again, a look kind of comes across Tommy's face, and Thomas wouldn't happen to be their last name, is it? He says. Meeker says yes, and he grabs Jamie and they rush out. Meeker and Marion follow. We get a scene at Haddonville High School with Tim, Thomas, and his girlfriend Beth, and some friends kind of talking about hitting up that crazy party that DJ Barry Sims is putting on tonight. They talk about the Halloween ban, imply that they think Meeker went crazy after the incident, and the kids are ready to do it anyway. Just a little bit of character development there. Back at the Thomas house, Deborah's home by herself listening to the radio. We get pretty much the same scene that we get in the normal Halloween 6 with Myers kind of toying with her and eventually killing her. This time it's inside the basement instead of the backyard. As Myers has his head tilted, like looking at Deborah's body, I pictured you hear Meeker, Tommy, Marion, and Jamie pull up to the house and knock on the door. They enter and start wandering the house. You see from the perspective of Myers' masks as he watches and stalks them from the shadow. Jamie's never seen by Myers, though. I wanted to put that out there because I don't know who it was. I think it was Nico that said if he saw who his target was, he wouldn't just like stalk her later on. So that stuck in my head whenever I was writing this. They find Deborah's body in the washing machine, and Tommy says he's come home. Meeker gets on his radio to call it in. The dispatcher tells them about the party happening at such and such location and asks how to handle it. He tells them to stay put. until they get there. They run up the stairs, and as they talk to Jamie and hears Jamie's voice as they walk out the door, he then busts out of the shadows, clearly triggered by hearing Jamie's voice. By this point, they're already outside and leaving. You then see Deborah's car pull out of the driveway, slowly following them, implying it's Myers driving her car. Kara and young Danny are shown pulling up at the Thomas residence. Shortly after they left, Kara finds her mother, tries to call her asshole dad. It's shown that he's at the local bar and deliberately doesn't answer. Kara then dials her brother Tim. He's at the party and can't hear her. So all she can do is make out his location from him, and she runs and grabs Danny, and they peel away towards the party as well. Kind of trying to get all our characters in one spot at this moment. So this is kind of my third. I got my third act here. So anybody got anything before I go?
Michael Myers. Yeah, Michael Myers driving again.
Oh, yeah, that driving son of a bitch.
Evil drives tonight. Okay, sorry.
I like it. Okay, so at the party, there's a ton of people, and a bunch of them have Michael Myers masks on. Jamie, Tommy, Meeker, Marion, and a few deputies arrive, and then they split up. The party continues as the cops are largely ignored. The sheriff goes to look for DJ Barry Sims as he can kind of hear his voice over the speakers. We see Myers' perspective as he sits in the car watching them as well. From here, we get a lot of the Halloween 6 festival happens kind of the same way. Beth, Tim's girlfriend, is even interviewed by DJ Barry Sims in front of the crowd. She says, "We will no longer let the powers that be control our minds. For years, Halloween's represented everything that's wrong with Haddonfield, but Michael Myers is long gone. There's no boogeyman." Just like in Halloween 6, Tim's kind of shocked to hear from Barry himself that they live in the old Myers house. He didn't know that. Sims is killed as he takes a break and thinks Myers is just another fan with a Myers mask on as he walks away to smoke. And Meeker tries to intervene and is killed as well. We cut to another part of the party, and Marion is still trying to tell Jamie, what she needs to tell her. Jamie blows it off, but she insists. She tells her that her mom, Lori, is still alive, living in Summer Glen as the dean of the college. She's shocked by the news, but it's interrupted as we hear Kara's voice saying, "Tommy?" So it turns out Tommy is Kara's ex-husband, or current husband if they're separated, and little Danny is Tommy's son. She has moved back home with her parents, since they're split, and it explains why Tommy's eyes lit up at that station when he heard a real estate agent, his father-in-law, and family were living in the Myers house. She's panicking, telling him about finding her mom at the house, and we hear screams in the background as Myers is out in a panicking crowd, murdering people. But it's chaos again because we're in the crowd of people wearing Myers masks. Tommy, Kara, Danny, Jamie, they take off. Tommy with a gun, but there's too many people in masks to shoot anyone. As Nurse Chambers falls back into the crowd, we see Myers slaughter a ton of people, including Tim and Beth and their friends. And you see out of his peripheral like that he sees the four of them running as Kara screams, and she seems to see Tim die and reaches out for her as he dies. They stumble into the same place we recognize. We just saw Sims and Meeker die. The four talk about a way to kill him. Jamie says the best way is to get him off his guard will be where it all started, back at his house. They notice blood dripping and coming across Sims' body. Sims is tied up in the tree above them with the blood dripping, kind of like Halloween 6 is. They scream, turn, find Meeker dead as well, and he falls out of the tree above them. The real Myers comes out of the crowd towards them, murdering people as he heads towards them and stands in his way. Myers manages to grab Danny, knocks Jamie to the ground. Tommy intervenes enough to save Danny and tells Kara that he loves her and is lifted up off the ground and stabbed through the chest and maybe has his throat slashed as well. Jamie grabs Danny and helps Kara up, and they jump in the car and speed away as more police show up to the party. We get an overhead shot of the car speeding down the road, kind of like the Dawn of the Dead remake at the beginning where she's driving through. And immediately they pump the brakes, get off the road, almost wrecking, as all three of them evacuate the car and throw up and scream. And we're shown that Tim's decapitated head was in the back seat. Myers left it as a little present for them to find. All right, so this is the end here. We're back at the Thomas residence. as drunk John pulls into the driveway and stumbles into the house. He tries to turn on the light as he's yelling obscenities and even calling Danny a little bastard as he realizes there's no power. He stumbles in the kitchen, turns on the gas to the oven. You hear it, but it doesn't light. You then hear the door open. He thinks it's someone in his family and calls to them, cussing more, asking Deborah why the fuck the oven doesn't work. It turns out to be Myers. He kills John. Then the three pull up and Jamie and Kara enter the house, telling Danny to stay in the car. The smell of gas is noticeable, and a fight ensues as Myers pops out of nowhere. Jamie is mortally wounded. Danny walks in and distracts Myers from killing Kara. With his attention turned, Kara runs out of the house and grabs Danny. As Myers is shown sitting up Undertaker style and just about to go after Kara, a mortally wounded Jamie grabs him, holds on to him, and says, "Hey, Uncle," and then lights a lighter, and the entire house explodes. We see Nurse Marion pull up then to get Kara and Danny as we close in on the shot of Jamie like burning but holding on to Michael's mask as it melts. There's no sign of Myers' body. Credits roll as the masks melt in the fire.
Okay, really quick. I know I asked. Which movies have you retconned here?
5, 6, and Resurrection.
Okay, if 4 is canon, then I love this. I love all of this.
Yes, this comes right after 4.
If Halloween 4 is canon, where you get at least the established backstory of little girl Jamie Lloyd, to kind of remove the shitty movie that is Halloween 5, first of all, it is a big plus. So I would automatically greenlight that because fuck that stupid movie. Halloween 6, I'm so indifferent about. I could care less about that film. It's so far down my list of rankings because I just don't remember it half the time. There's 2 different cuts. Neither one is very good. It's unfortunate. It's kind of a boring movie, which I think is a big sin. So I love the idea of retconning those 2 things and Resurrection, which again, there's some positives about it, but ultimately I'm fine with leaving it on the cutting room floor.
Well, I wanted the Laurie cutting his head off being the end of that timeline. Since we're started another timeline already with 18 and kills and ends, like I wanted that to be the end of the timeline, not Resurrection.
Right. So connecting 4 to H2O with one movie is significantly better than the 2 that we got. And I like your script. I think it's good. I love involving most of the same characters. I think that's a plus. Kind of tying back to the original with Marion and all that stuff. Like I think that's a lot of good. And again, if we're keeping the Strode timeline, then I think it's significantly a big upgrade over Halloween 5 and Halloween 6. So I'm going to give it a green light.
I like it too because, like, when we reviewed Halloween 4, I told y'all my biggest issue was with the ending was that whole shit with Jamie never really, like, we didn't get a payoff for it, and I think you do a lot of what I wanted in your movie.
That's a great point,
and so that's enough for me to just say, hell yeah.
So my question is, this is a sequel to 4, and it connects H2O together. So, does this movie like end and then pick up at H2O, or is it just kind of combine some things of H2O into this movie?
No, it ends and then picks up, because H2O starts at Marion's house, or you're right, Nurse Chambers' house.
Yeah.
And so, that already is established that Loomis was living there, whatever. And this would be a reason why Myers would be there looking for information anyway.
Okay. So this movie really does help that beginning of H2O make a little more sense. Why Marion Chambers is even in the movie to begin with. Kind of tying in characters from the original. You have Tommy and you've got, and again, Halloween 4 amongst hardcore Halloween fans is so beloved. To bring Danielle Harris back in this role and still have her be Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter. If you really wanted to, now you don't have to. If you really wanted to, I'm going to pitch a sequel off the top of my head. Now with your movie, you've established these 2 things exist in the same timeline. You've established 4, your movie, and H2O are all connected through a line. You could literally do a movie now with Danielle Harris and Jamie Lee Curtis sharing the damn screen together, which is what
and John.
And John, and I would be here for that. I think that's a sequel. I don't have any thoughts on how I would do that, but I would like to see it after your movie.
I feel like I would have to see this movie to understand it a little more. Does that make sense? Because I feel like there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Do you have any
so John
questions
dies
that I
in
can
your
maybe
movie,
help you
but
with?
the movie picks up at H2O where it starts? Or am I mishearing stuff?
John is just
It's
the
not,
name
it's
of
not,
this asshole dad.
It's not Hartnell. Okay.
It's not the same John. Maybe I should have just named him something else. Like
still though,
Nicholas or
don't
something.
pick me. I'm already in one of your
Dustin.
movies.
No, whatever.
The fuck?
I'm in, man. Just because I think I like 4 and I like H2O enough that I would like to see some connective tissue. And we just don't have it, obviously. I know that was originally planned to have it, and so your story kind of makes those two things make sense in a congruent timeline. So I'm here for it. I would say I like the stuff with the multiple Myers. Like, I think that's kind of fun. I know that was in some other.
It's kind of taken from Scream 2 and stuff like that, where everybody's from Scream.
And I know there was an unmade Halloween sequel they had that mentioned briefly, where there was like multiple Myers
in it.
People were dressing.
Well, the kids were dressing up like him.
Well, there was people. There were the kids dressing up as Myers, and so you kind of have that multiple Myers effect. So I've always liked that. I like that in Scream 2. Like it here. I think it'd be really good. So thumbs up for me, man.
I would also ask for more money to go back and CG the mask in 4. And,
yes.
Make it all better.
Not the CG from H2O. Fuck that.
No, it's new.
The good mask.
It's new. Loomis kills CG.
I'm going to take a William Shatner all over the H4 mask. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, could we, I will only greenlight this movie if we get a William Shatner appearance. That's just like an Easter egg.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Hey, he could be the asshole DJ. William Shatner would be a great one.
I've always said John Carpenter never doing a cameo in these movies has always rubbed me the wrong way. Just be a store clerk like Stephen King is a book guy in It. It's not that hard. It's really not, John. Stop being such a fuddy-dud. Anyway. Yeah, man. All right. Green light. Okay.
If anybody has any questions, please ask or write in or whatever, because I know listening to me read for all that time, I'm sure everybody's ADHD kicked in like mine does sometimes. So ask me something. Actually, you know what? I think we should post this on post these on our blog.
There you go. Post your scripts on the blog, man. I'll share the shit out of those things.
All of them. All of ours.
Maybe you should trademark that so no one steals it, because both your sequels so far, someone's probably looking at. I'm just saying. And I'm holding on to mine because I'm going to write a last script and send that to somebody. Like, look here. I'm broke. I need this check. Here's an awesome Scream movie that you can make.
Oh, we can lie on this show?
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you. Okay. All right. So I'm going to follow Halloween up with a little more Halloween. But that's okay.
Hey,
I know we have the same brain sometimes.
It was painful.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And then I come in and everybody hates everyone. So
I only hate Nico's takes. All right. Anyway, I'm just kidding, brother. Okay. So I don't have this super fleshed out. I'm gonna be upfront about that. But I would like to see a Halloween movie, and I've talked about this a million times. I want to get away from the Strodes, the Lloyds, the corrupt. I want to get rid of all of it. I don't want a retcon. That can still exist. I'm fine with it. And this is actually, I had this idea a couple weeks ago, and then watching Halloween Kills gives me another way to do it. So I've kind of got two pitches in one here. What I originally want is a Halloween movie, a Michael Myers movie that takes place. It can even be in Haddonfield, man. Like, it's fine. Or the next town over, whatever town, Sheboygan. I don't give a fuck where it is. Like a couple towns over, the next county over, whatever. Just give me a Michael Myers, a very simplified, back to bones, basics movie with Michael Myers, the original intent of that character, the shape. Killing people with no motive, no anything, no draw to his old house, no Haddonfield, Illinois, or you could even put it in Haddonfield if you really want to. But I just want Michael Myers to be motiveless. I want it shot with the blue lighting, the blue hue they use in 78. Like I want all of that essence of that original shape character without all these layers of Loomis and Brackett and Officer Hawkins that in this new one. Like I want all of that kind of gone. And I just want, so this kind of gave me another idea after seeing Halloween Kills. And that is to kind of retcon that, I would shoot this film like it was 1978. I would use the same camera effect, the music from 70. I would almost retcon everything and do a new Halloween 2 where it's not at the hospital. And it's just Michael Myers gets away. He's not caught at the stairs by Loomis and everyone else. He goes to the next town over and creates even more havoc. Where's the harm in that? I just don't see why. And Nico has pointed this out a million times. And I agree with him, even though I love the Strodes. Like, I got it. Great stuff. But I just want to see Michael Myers do his thing without being tethered to something. And so, again, I don't have a fleshed out script per se, but my idea would be to take Michael Myers and put him a couple towns over. He just kind of walks along. It's still Halloween night and creates havoc in another town. Like, I don't need Laurie Strode to be in this Michael Myers movie. And I don't need her daughter, and I don't need her son. I know Halloween Resurrection tried to do this.
But
I think there's a better way to do it than Halloween Resurrection did.
Something from the original.
Right, and that's fine. Like, even that would be okay with me. If you're right. So even if you included the Myers house somehow, that's fine. And one more thing I want to add. I would rather see this in Friday the 13th, but I think it works with this movie with Myers. I wouldn't even mind. Okay, you could either A, shoot it like 1978, like just like they did the flashback scenes in Halloween Kills, or B, I really wouldn't hate found footage or a POV movie of Myers to where you only saw certain angles of Michael Myers, or found footage where like it's a very modern telling. Like, I don't know how exactly I would flesh that out, but I just kind of want to take this character, make him motiveless again, and remove him from these teenagers in 1978, and he goes to the next town over and fucks with them. Like, that's, and you could still use the Myers house as a tether to him, the night he came home. That's fine if you really want to do that. But I just think there's a better story there without all this stuff, man. I have another Halloween idea, but I'm going to save it for like a little mini pitch at the end. But I just, again, don't have a fleshed out script. I understand if everyone kind of shits on that idea, but I just want something different from my Michael Myers movie. Like, I will give Rob Zombie credit for trying to do something different, but he still was kind of forced to tether it to the Laurie Strode character. And so I would like to see just something different with Myers. That's why I give Halloween Resurrection credit. It's at least different. I didn't say I liked it, but it's at least something different that I think could work if you just put Myers back in Haddonfield in a modern stage, killing modern people that aren't tied to the Strodes. I think that would be okay with me too. So that's where I'm at.
So my only concern with that would be that you're essentially turning Michael Myers into Art the Clown in the way that, my biggest issue with Terrifier was that it was just shocking violence with no plot.
Right.
So,
well, I do want a plot.
Like to see.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So, I would like to see more details ironed out, but
right, of course.
It could work. It's just my initial thought is I have reservations just because you made me watch that piece of shit Terrifier. And
That's I think Terrifier too, bud.
I don't want senseless violence with no.
That's fair.
With no plot.
Right.
Well, I'll go ahead and go. I'm on board with it, Mike. Except for the POV Myers, I don't want that personally. I want to see Michael Myers.
That's fine.
Say something, Dustin.
Yeah, well, see, I was going to say, I actually like that idea to where the whole movie basically is like the scene in the original where you're looking through the eye holes.
Through the eye holes. And that'd be kind of cool.
The only chance we get to see what he even looks like is maybe he walks by a mirror.
Yeah.
And he glimpses at himself. And you're like, oh, shit, that's what he looks like. So I actually do like that.
And we know Myers looks in the mirror. He's done it in the window and the mirror. We've seen him do it. He's very playful. He's a kid in that way.
Thing is, I don't know how you shoot it well, like you wanted at 78 to have that blue tint. Like the blue tint works because you see Myers in the blue tint. So found footage might be okay.
And and those are two different movies. Like
I'm with you. I want to see something different. Maybe Michael Takes Manhattan. I'm just kidding.
All right, never mind.
But what I was talking about earlier, Mike, when you brought up Resurrection,
never mind.
Even though it does something different, it's still bringing him back to his house. Like you want him like a town over or something like that,
right?
So,
but he can even end going back to his house. Like that's fine. Like if he goes to again whatever town bumps up next to Haddonfield, Shitfield, Illinois. I don't care. Just make it the next town over. He goes and creates this chaos. So I hate to be so jumbled. I'm saying I would like it in any three of these ways: to be shot like 78, to be a found footage movie, or to be POV like me and Dustin talked about. Either of those three, I think, could work for a different approach to that Michael Myers character.
You can go ahead and go. Is this something I'm gonna kind of rant about tomorrow? Just because I've seen so many posts about Halloween Kills, it's about annoyed the shit out of me. Mike, you're one of them. Well, Halloween 78 has the most diehard fans of the original ever, and it seems like every sequel after it, or for the most part, doesn't live up to it. It doesn't have the same suspense or the same feel or atmosphere of 78. You're just walking a thin line with those fans with this kind of a movie, but you need to push the edge sometimes. So.
Right.
I'm here for it. Go ahead, Brian.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say about it, but I mean, it's intriguing. It's definitely something that I want to find out more about. And I know you said you don't have it all flushed out, but it's definitely intriguing enough that I would love to hear more.
Right. I just don't have a fleshed out script because I tried to kind of sit and think where I would take it exactly. But I mean, again, at that point, if I'm going to write out a script, what it would end up being is kind of a stock slasher. And so I would need someone that actually with some script writing abilities that are good to come in and write a good plot. Not a motive, but a reason for Michael Myers to be in the next town over. Not necessarily a motive, but just like, how did he get there? How does he find his way back to his house at the end, which I think is where I would like to end that story, is just him back in his house. And so, to touch on something you said real quick, Nico, then we can go to Dustin's next movie is I don't need it to be an exact replica of 78, but I do need more suspense. I need better lighting, and we'll talk about it tomorrow when we do kills. But I need more essence of the original intent of the character instead of what he ended up becoming with all this layered backstory and cult and all these, bloodlines and all this other shit. I just kind of want to simplify it and him still be the shape, the essence of evil. He was doing very well last night. Sorry. I got to throw in a Loomis when I can.
All right. So, Nico, it's funny that you should say Michael Takes Manhattan.
I'm walking away. Away.
My next sequel I'm pitching is a direct sequel to Friday the 13th Part 8. So I called this one playfully Friday the 13th Part 8 Part 2. Manhattan is taken back.
I want to listen, by the way.
Manhattan is taken back. Now, to our listeners, I had some fun with this one. So if you don't like this one, then you need to grow the fuck up and have some fun. The year is 1991. Jason Voorhees has been on the loose in the Big Apple for 2 years now, and cutscenes during the title card opening credit sequence show that he's very much alive, despite the events that were shown in the ending of Part 8. He's on a kill spree, and the city needs a hero. Or heroes. Pan to a dark alley. Jason has a group of club-goers cornered. They should have taken a different exit. As he stalks them and creeps toward them with a machete, the young adults shriek in fear. The camera goes to the lone streetlight that's illuminating the alleyway. Suddenly, a ninja sigh cuts through the air and shatters the bulb. The alleyway is now pitch black. Inarticulate ninja noises ensue, and next we hear the scurrying sounds of the youth scampering away to safety. Cut to a sewer beneath the streets. Moviegoers gasp in disbelief. Could it be? That's right. This is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Friday the 13th crossover. But, hear me out. This is a dark Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, similar to the upcoming film The Batman. So this is not your funny Corey Feldman Ninja Turtles. This isn't your Johnny Knoxville Ninja Turtles and Megan Fox that they just remade a few years ago. This is a dark movie. The killers or the turtles kill in this one. They're not afraid to fuck shit up. This is very much so an adult. This is for us that grew up on Ninja Turtles, but wanted to see them take that next step into adulthood and an R-rated film. I don't really have any casting in mind, other than I want Imogene Poots to play April O'Neil, and that's just because I wanted to say the name Imogene Poots. But fantastic young actress. I want her to be April O'Neil. But yeah, so Jason, the basically the way this movie plays out is Jason's killing people. The turtles are trying to catch up with him. They're tracking him, and then in the end, we get Jason brutally murders Master Splinter. Even Shredder puts his differences aside to team up with the turtles for a minute because he knows he can't do it alone, but he runs away like a coward and leaves the turtles to fight for themselves. Maybe one of the turtles die. Not pointing any fingers, but you kind of always suck, Leonardo. So maybe he dies, and we end with 3 turtles victorious, saving the city, and fucking Jason up all the way back to New Jersey. What do you guys think?
Oh, I'm fucking in. That's my that's I'm in.
She likes me for me, not because I hang with Leonardo. Okay. Or that guy that plays in Fargo. So listen, man. You're not going to believe me. But I'm in.
Yes!
All right.
Yes!
Okay. Now, question before I go 100% in.
Yeah.
Is it a horror comedy up front? Are you upfront about it?
There is no comedy. This is not the Ninja Turtles. Like I said, this is not our childhood Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
These are if we can suspend disbelief.
So you want me to really suspend my disbelief?
I mean, if Jason Voorhees has died 19 times already.
True. Okay.
He drowned as a kid. Now he's a full-grown adult that exploded at the end of Part 8 or seeped into some ooze or whatever the fuck happened. And now he's regenerated back to. You can believe that turtles can mutate.
One more question.
And learn karate.
One more question. No boats? Yep.
Exactly.
No boats, right? No boat rides?
Maybe in a bit of fuck you to the critics of the previous point 8. That's how they get rid of them.
You gave it like a 4 or whatever. Fuck you.
Maybe that's how they get rid of him. They kill him and put him on a boat back to New Jersey. But none of the movie takes place on a boat.
Okay, then I'm in. All right, I'm in. As long as we deliver on the movie being in Manhattan, I will at least watch it.
As long
as the
whole
movie is in Manhattan.
Turtles,
okay, all right.
All the you're fired.
First of all, Michelangelo has to live because what a great name.
And Raphael has to live because he's the best turtle. Donatello and Leonardo, we can say
he's definitely the best turtle. What do you have against Leonardo and that guy that plays in Fargo? Come on, man.
Leonardo's a fucking prude, and Donatello's a fucking nerd. So
I'd say nerd. I kind of want to go back and watch those live action ones from like 91 or whatever they took place. It's been a long time.
88, brother, my birth year.
I'm in, Dustin. You got me at least intrigued to see the film.
I'll watch it.
Now, I might shit on it at some point. I'm going to go on record and say I don't think I'll like it, but I'm interested in seeing it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, that's all we need. That's what Hollywood's been doing for years. Let's do something that we think they'll at least want to see out of curiosity,
Yeah,
and we'll
I
sell
agree.
tickets this
Rob
motherfucker.
Zombie directing it, I'm
out.
definitely in because that would be exactly what you're talking about right
I'm
now.
You're
actually,
speaking my
if
fucking
Rob,
language.
that makes me want to see it even more. Just because I want this, and this is a little mini pitch here for everyone. Rob Zombie, except for Nico is going to poop on it. Rob Zombie directing a Jason film would be great. Are you kidding me?
I agree.
Oh, the kills and dude, it'd be so Jason.
Interesting for sure. Oh, so it goes to me. Look, this is my last one. I don't really have a lot like I have it on the other one. So
Yeah.
It's basically a remake of Jason Goes to Hell to an extent. His look, first of all, is the same as it is in Jason Goes to Hell, but he's not wearing a belt and coveralls like he is in that movie. The movie takes place in the snow. I don't have many names, but I do have. There's a YouTuber named Mike who gets some people to go with him to search for the real Crystal Lake after all of these years. Even gives a history of how it moved to Camp Forest Green, but they're trying to find the original camp. This does take a little bit of inspiration from Hike in the Snow, but the entire movie, and Nico's going to hate this, the entire movie is found footage shaky cam because they all have like cameras like they have on in Resurrection to live stream it the whole time. There's a Creighton Duke kind of bounty hunter type character. I'll just call him Creighton Duke because I didn't really have a name for him on this one. But he heard of the YouTube venture. He knows he can help. Doesn't really believe Jason's dead. He talks about Tommy Jarvis like he's an idol. That'll come up a little bit later. They run into a cult in the woods. This cult is a dream demon worshiping cult. Very evil. They all start getting picked off, kind of like in Blair Witch. Once they kind of find the camp, a lot of them die, and we get a revelation that Tommy Jarvis's kid is one of the ones in the group that's left and alive. Zendaya comes to mind to play his daughter, or Lucy Hale. They run back to the cult, and the cult tells them the only way to get rid of Jason is to find his mother's remains and lay them to rest. Now, when I was coming up with this idea, I was kind of surprised that this has not been done before. I don't know why. It just kind of seems like an obvious thing. But anyway, Duke dies helping retrieve Duke dies helping retrieve the remains. The only one left is Tommy Jarvis's daughter. She runs back to the cult, who has a ritualistic circle kind of set up, demonic pentagrams on the ground, the whole thing. Jason's still after the girl. Just as he's inside, they finish the ritual. Nothing happens. The leader of the cult turns and says, "Forgot to mention we need one more thing, human sacrifice," and then they kill her. The camera on her head kind of falls to the ground, but you still see the finale as it's laying there. They attempt to finish the ritual, and you realize that they don't care about Jason. They're only trying to bring back a dream demon this whole time. The ritual ends. Nothing happens. It turns out they think that this ritual will take care of Jason as well, but it doesn't. Jason slaughters everyone. But in doing so, one of the cult followers cuts his mask off and it falls to the ground, kind of around the pentagram. Happy that everyone's killed, Jason grabs his mother's remains, but stops as he hears his mother's voice in his head. The voice turns into Freddy's, and suddenly Jason is pulled underground in kind of much the same way he is in Jason Goes to Hell. We even get a closing scene where Freddy's glove grabs Jason's mask as well. To me, this kind of sets up a Freddy versus Jason movie that I've had in my head, where like Freddy is controlling Jason because he has his mother's remains. So that's all I had. That's all I had for this one.
Boy, can you tell that we're a show that is starving for new Friday the 13th movies?
Right.
I really like that. I
thought of that idea too. Yeah, I thought of a Friday the 13th one too, but I decided not to include it just because I feel like the franchise would not be in good hands in my hands.
But no, I definitely like that. I like the concept, and I definitely like, I think that Jason getting drug underneath is a cool scene. It's just, I really hated Jason Goes to Hell. So I think your movie would do it right. No offense to a friend of the show, Adam Marcus, but it's just not. It wasn't my favorite. Yeah, no, I would greenlight this, and especially since you said it sets up the Freddy versus Jason movie that you've been having in your mind for years. So, yeah, I like it.
This is a tweak of Goes to Hell, correct?
No, well, yeah, it just basically is a remake. I mean, it's not like it doesn't come
It's a
directly
modern,
after 7 or 8 because he died.
Well, it's
in every
modern. There's a
one of those,
YouTube,
and
right? I mean, it's a
Right.
modern telling. There's a YouTuber involved and stuff like that.
Yeah.
First of all, I wouldn't kill Creighton Duke. That might be my only change, but I get it. I understand, but I would not kill my man. Absolutely not, ever. If he wants to come on the show, that'd be great. So listen, I'm going to greenlight it, partially because one, I actually like Jason Goes to Hell, and I think you keep it in the same vein. You keep the same spirit of that film, and you tie in Freddy earlier as far as them trying to summon a dream demon. I really like that. As far as this movie is our vehicle to Freddy versus Jason instead, because we never really got one. Yes, you get the glove, dragging the mask down to hell at the end of the original Jason Goes to Hell. But I think you kind of, sprinkling in a little bit of that nuance, towing the line, having some mentions of a dream, to me, that makes it a little bit more clear of the direction we're going next. And I like your idea of still kind of keeping the Freddy glove, dragging the mask. I like that. And yeah, man, I'm a fan. But there's been, sequels written, about the cult of Jason or whatever. I like that I don't want it to be that. I like that you just have this kind of demonic entity cult or, whatever you call it there. So I'm a fan, man. I think it's good. Now, I'll be honest. I'm interested to see it because I like Jason Goes to Hell. I just don't like the end of Jason Goes to Hell all that much. And so I'm interested to see if I would like this more or about the same as Jason Goes to Hell. So
well,
that
I didn't mean to keep. I mean, very little. There's very little resemblance to Jason Goes to Hell.
Right.
Remaking it. To me, in my head, this is Blair Witch Project, but with Jason in it and killing, and then you have a little bit of a subplot of these, and that's the thing, because in my head it's all shaky. It's all from you're looking at the.
I love point of view, so a found footage Jason movie is what I've been craving.
That was another thing I was going to say. I meant to say when I was talking is I mentioned it when we were talking about what was that bad movie you picked that time, Cloverfield. I like found footage when it makes sense.
Me too.
And that was my beef with Cloverfield. I was like, why does this need to be found footage? He had no reason to keep recording the whole time. This one, it would make a lot more sense, I think. And so I would like the shaky cam found footage. Big plus for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, it being found footage is a big plus for me. Sorry, go ahead, Nico.
All right.
Uh-oh.
I wrote this and I know Nico's not going to like it. I mean, shit.
Right, it's okay to say
it.
It's okay to say it.
And it's not a shape-shifting slug. I like Creighton Duke if you bring him back. And by the way, Mike, I think Brian and I have reached out to him. I've been left on scent on Instagram, so I've tried.
Tough.
Oh, hey, yeah. By the way, there's got to be some sort of joke in there about
you got a cult.
Hearts. There's got to be somewhere. It's got to be a
respectfully,
joke.
Brian. I'll give you the money to make the movie just because I know you're passionate about this, and it's it's your movie that got you into it. So I respect that. But I'm not a fan of Jason's look in this movie. Shaky found footage. I'm not a fan of it. Cult. Right, if it's not Midsummer, I probably don't care about a cult. Looking at you, Halloween 6. I'm not a fan of it. Cult of Chucky.
And Chucky did it too. That movie sucks as well.
I can't say I'm a fan of this yet. Honestly, I'm sorry.
I know you won't like it.
Hey,
it's okay.
As long as you give me the money, I don't care.
2 out of 3 ain't bad, Brian. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Okay. So my last one is a more recent film. We covered not in detail, but we did reactions to all three of the Fear Street films. And so within that universe, I really liked some of the lesser known villains that are not lesser known, but the ones we don't get to know very well. I think there's some really good stories you could tell within the universe of Fear Street. And so mine comes, I want almost like a solo film within that universe of Billy Barker. And if you don't remember Billy Barker, he's the younger kid that puts on the doll mask. It kind of looks like the one from The Strangers and also Valentine. Kind of the same kind of doll mask that I'm thinking of here. And he walks, his weapon of choice is a baseball bat. And we don't get to see a lot of him, but what we do see is, to me, could or has the potential to be the creepiest villain within this franchise. Because one, it's a little kid, and we talked about that on this show, where creepy kids are fucking creepy. Okay. So that alone to me will give me an unnerving, unsettling vibe from the film. I almost think you could not play it like Michael Myers, because that's already been done. But like, we already have kind of seen him have a little bit of a slow walk. He's very methodical. He knows he's doing the things he's doing. It's not this unconscious killing like we kind of get with I'm trying to think of the villain's name that wears the sack head. He's basically Jason Voorhees. I'm drawing a blank on names right now, but like, we get that already. And so I think this could be a much more creepy killer. And so whether you decide to tether the story to what's already existed in Fear Street, I think that franchise has done it so well. I think you would kind of have to maybe give the story of him murdering his siblings its own movie. Kind of tie that into the Fear Street plot line. And I would honestly make this the darkest Fear Street that we've seen. Because we've seen, Fear Street 90 whatever is dark, but it's also very 90s of its time. The second one is a campy slasher. It's got some serious stuff in it too, but I think it's a campy slasher in a good way. And 3 is basically The Witch, going back to Salem times and stuff like that. So I think you can make this such a creepy stalker slasher movie, but with a kid villain. And I think, again, I want him to keep the bat as a weapon, because I think it'd be really easy to give a kid a knife and have him stab somebody. But to see a kid take a bat and beat the fuck out of someone, it to me is unnerving, unsettling. I really, really like it. And I just think he would make a great villain. I don't ever want to see Billy Barker's face. I want him to I don't want an origin story with this character. I want a sequel to one of the Fear Streets where we go and visit him murdering his siblings, and then kind of flesh that out a little bit, and tie it in to all the Crow bloodline or whatever you have to do. I want that to the Good bloodline, kind of flesh it out, involve some of the family members of the modern day or Fear Street Part 1 and 3, kind of tie those things in together. So that's, again, I don't have necessarily a script, but I do think that I want to see the murder of the family. I want to see all of that. But again, I don't want a backstory. I don't want Michael Myers, sitting in an insane asylum. Like, I want him to be a creepy slasher stalker character as a 8-9-year-old boy. Like, I think that is, and all these murders are happening and no one can figure out who's doing it because no one suspects the kid, and it's the kid the whole time. And I don't want that to be played for jokes. Like, I want him to be a very cold-blooded, serious, creepy ass killer. Think Damien from The Omen, but without being possessed. He's just a creepy fucking murderer, and I think that would be, yeah, that too. Like, I think that would be so unnerving, and I love that character, and I hope Now, they might not go with my idea, but I hope at some point they decide to give Billy Barker his own standalone Fear Street, because I think it would be awesome to see a killer kid. There's two things. I love when a movie has the balls to kill a kid, but I also like when a movie has the balls to make the killer a kid. And so I'm a fan of those two things. So that's kind of why I picked Billy Barker as my sequel.
I'm actually going to be surprised if they don't do that. I mean, Fear Street being, it's got so many unlimited possibilities.
Right.
Just as an anthology, you don't have to follow the exact same, the last three. You don't have to but if you could just take a little aspect of it, a little line to branch off that way and do a story just standalone, where if you watched it and hadn't seen the other ones, you would still know what was going on. And I think that's what you were going for.
Right.
And I think it would be great. And like I said, I'll be surprised if they don't do it.
Yeah, I'd be in on it. I mean, the only thing, and I agree, I do think that that's probably coming. I love movies with kid killers as well. Whoa, not kid killers, but children that are villains.
Killer kids.
Killer kids. There you go.
My only thing is, you said you wanted to be, darker than the other Fear Street, and how the other Fear Streets were kind of more light and very 90s feeling. I think that's just because they are R.L. Stein.
Right, of course. Yeah.
And so I get what you're saying. I would like that. But also I would kind of want it to be like the other Fear Street.
And that's fair.
I think that adds to it. But I definitely like all the rest of what you said. I love keeping the bat as the weapon. I think it's a great melee weapon for a killer to have.
Yeah.
So I'd be
Mike. I agree with them. I think honestly that's probably coming. Maybe anthology, or maybe even like we talked about. I can't remember what movie we talked about, but making it into a series, just in maybe exploring all the different characters that didn't get a movie or something. But I'm with you, Mike. I like.
Yeah.
13 Ghosts, I think, was the one we wanted to do.
Yeah, I think so. Good. I feel like there's.
We definitely want to do it with that too.
Maybe Trick or Treat, maybe I can't remember.
Oh, definitely Trick or Treat.
Yeah, for sure. My thing is, and by the way, when I meant shoot it darker, I meant literally darker. Not necessarily I want it to be this evil ass movie. You can still have a little fun with it, but obviously it's a killer kid, so it needs to be a little more unsettling. I would just, cinematography wise, use a little bit of a darker, tone, a little bit of a, kind of, I don't want to say shoot it like Halloween 78, because that's not what I want, but it's kind of what I want. I mean, I kind of want it shot in a way where it's just a little bit of a darker tone, but still keep that Fear Street essence. I think there's a good line that you could toe there. So that's my only thing.
Okay. So I'll knock out my last one real quick here. So my last one is a reboot. It's not a sequel. It's a reboot of a movie that I picked a while ago that kind of got some, not necessarily pushback from you guys, but we weren't all on the same page as far as it being horror. So I want to reboot They Live. They Live is a movie that I'm surprised hasn't been remade, just because it does have a pretty good following for people that like the movie. It's pretty iconic. And for all the shit movies that have been remade, it's kind of crazy that this one hasn't. So basically, it's the same premise. Aliens are controlling the world. They want to brainwash the humans. Only in the updated version, our protagonists have more tools at their disposal. They've got special screen protectors they can put on their cell phones that will discern reality from propaganda. They've got contact lenses that they can wear in public to do the same, instead of, just the sunglasses. In our updated version, it doesn't really turn things to black and white. It just reveals the true message. Although in the original, the black and white it added to it. It made it very eerie when it did that, but that's okay. Also, these aliens are much more violent and malicious than the original, creating a true horror movie. So they've got bigger plans than just to control the earth. They want to herd the humans like cattle into a groupthink that will eventually lead to the extinction of the species. So when it's discovered that a human has caught on, that human is flayed and eaten slowly.
Okay.
And this is broadcast in a way that looks like normal television to most, but with the decoding tools, it's brutal. And it's done as a message to discourage the rest of the humans that are onto their plans to abandon their mission and fall in line. So for our cast is led by Donald Glover in the main protagonist role. So he would be the Roddy Piper type character. He's a drifter that just moved to LA and is set to start work for a new construction company. And he discovers the technology to see the truth in a church across the street, same as the original. And he tries to get his reluctant coworker to believe him and join him to spread the message. This coworker is played by Tom Hardy, and he wants nothing to do with that at first until he's forced to see the truth and decides that, yeah, we need to do something about this. Our leading lady is played by the lovely Ana de Armas. She befriends our heroes only to betray them like the original. And then the only other main character that I cast is going to be an old man who's kind of the leader of the rebellion. He's the one that's trying to spread the message and get the technology out there into the masses. This guy is played by Keith David. So I think that's a nice callback to the original since he was one of the main characters in the original movie. It'd be nice to have him in this remake. And so that's my pitch to Reboot, They Live.
I am fucking in. Let's go.
I think that's
hell
way
yeah,
way better than the original.
Honestly, I was gonna say that's got a chance to be a better movie, dude. That's got a chance.
Who's playing Roddy Piper's character?
So I switched the racial roles just because.
Yeah,
right.
Donald Glover.
Oh, okay.
I
like him a lot.
I think that I could see him like he's a very good actor when it comes to like emotion. Yeah. And so I think that the scenes where he's trying to convince his coworker, who's Tom Hardy, hey man, no, we got to fucking do something about this. Like I could just see his persuasion and I can hear his voice getting high pitched when he's trying to get him, believe me. And then, obviously I don't think a fight scene would be able to be recreated like the original, but I did look it up. Donald Glover and Tom Hardy are the same height. I would have never guessed that. They're both 5'9".
No.
So, Tom Hardy's he's got more muscle mass on Donald Glover, but Donald Glover's not a small guy. I just think that's two guys that I really like. I think Tom Hardy's phenomenal.
That's fantastic.
I love Donald Glover, so yeah. And I just wanted a reason to look at Ana de Armas. So
I knew that.
I'll say
free fucking pizza.
Free fuck. No, I'm not. Nope. I'm not going back into knock knock because we were criticized online about how we handled knock knock. So no more knock knock. Damn it. What I will say is that movie off the cast alone piques my interest. Like I am big time in on that, and I think the plot is better than the fucking original, man.
Yeah, I love
it. And I like the original, so that definitely has my interest. Big time green light over this way. I'm gonna borrow some money from Nico so I could give you the green light, baby.
Well, and I figured like the showing the humans being flayed and eaten on like that would make it definitely add some more horror element to it.
Yeah, make it a little more horror, right?
These aliens aren't here to coexist and just live on our Earth. Like they want to fucking kill us.
I'm in.
Right.
I like the cast.
I'm in.
I like the fact that you made it darker. I'm here for it. I think the only thing that would, not that Donald Glover is bad, but it's just Piper was just so charming. People would probably just compare that, but who cares? I mean, would you have scenes like the chew bubble gum, or would you not have those kind of lines in it?
No, I think that's a very dated line. That's a very dated concept. So
more serious.
No, I would get away from that. Like the premise is the same, but he would be more serious because Donald Glover is a very charming actor as well.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you've ever watched the series Atlanta. He's very charming in that. He's great in pretty much everything he's done. Even his little cameo role in Spider-Man: Far From Home, like he was great in that. So
I need him to be a better Simba, but we don't talk about that.
Spider-Man: Homecoming. Sorry, but yeah.
Could have been a better Simba, but that's a different story. Anyway, okay.
That's on you for watching that movie. Go ahead.
I agree with that 100%.
When you first said it, I thought you said Danny Glover, and I was like, Danny Glover?
No,
okay.
He's too old for this shit.
That's my Saul sequel pitch. I just want to watch the descent into madness of Danny Glover's character. That's all I want.
He's dead.
Out of my next Saw movie. Fuck it. Not in my timeline, bud.
All right. Do any of y'all have any more
all right
pitches? All right. Let's knock out some.
I'm good.
No.
Left on the cutting room floor was a Chucky reboot. I want to keep the same as the original cast, so I don't want everyone to get their panties in a bunch. It would have been a Chucky reboot, and I had a Texas Chainsaw idea, but I decided I didn't like it. So there you go.
Yeah, I had a Signs sequel that I wanted where the aliens come back to extract their revenge, but I really couldn't make it more interesting than that, so I scrapped the whole damn thing.
And real quick, I really think since Universal owns both the properties, you could do something with Chucky and Myers. That's all I'm saying. It'd be ridiculous, but there's something there with Chucky and Michael Myers, man.
Illinois. Both in Illinois.
Bullshit. They're both in Illinois, brother. They could be it. That makes more sense than Freddy versus Jason. Fuck you, Brian. I don't agree with any of your movies now. Fuck you.
Oh, and also I should mention that I told you guys in the group text, and I'll share this. I was joking, but my Signs sequel was a pitch that Joaquin Phoenix and Mel Gibson, they had to enlist the help of Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith. That's right. The Men in Black helped them fight off the aliens from Signs.
The only one.
I don't know, brother. You're kind of walking the line with that one.
The only ones I had in mind was, I wasn't going to say it because Tom McGoffin already has it. A sequel to Jason Lives. I would like to see that. I tried to piece together in my mind a Freddy and Jason movie, but not like we got in 2003, kind of in the 84 to 86 range. It's immediately after Tommy Jarvis and Trish killed Jason. Nancy kind of sees on the news about something that they went through and she just went through. You kind of bring them together somehow. I couldn't piece it together in my own mind to where it would work out, but if somebody could figure it out, I would love to have seen it. And then I would like to see a sequel to Secret Window with Johnny Depp. And it's on my list.
Oh, it's a great movie.
Hey, great film. Don't know where you'd go with it, but
after
great
he's
movie.
Done eating some corn, he goes to another character and kills somebody else. I don't know. But anywho, Brian, do you have any more on the? And I wanted to see a Charles Lee Ray prequel before he goes into Chucky, but Brad Dourif's too damn old now, so that will never happen.
Okay, all right.
Brian, any more before we jump into fan questions? Okay, I'm just going to read off the comments we got on Facebook and Twitter. Missy Hutchison Wall, Dustin, you might know about this. I don't know this movie. It's Stephen King. I guess it's a sequel to Needful Things. This is a super creepy idea. Original film is as good, but not great. Plus, you can never go wrong with more Stephen King. Do you know that movie? I've never heard of it.
I don't, but I love Stephen King, so I need to
might be a
watch
book.
it.
I'm not sure.
I'm assuming.
I've heard of it, but never seen it.
I mean,
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it, so I can't give too much.
Hey, check this out. Michaela McCrane Cooley. I like to see them remake Season of the Witch. It deserves its own recognition from the Halloween series and is due for a remake. Didn't David Gordon Green or Blumhouse say they were going to make a sequel to it or something like that? Or they want to?
They talked about it. He said he would love to.
Here's the thing. You can do that movie better than it was done. That's my thing on that.
Yeah.
Get rid of the Halloween name. Honestly, I think if you took the Halloween name off of it, now it wouldn't be a great movie, but I think people would like it a little more. But my actual point is there's a better movie in that universe to be made, especially with those masks, because that's a cool concept. I just don't think the movie itself was very good.
Yeah, spoiler alert. I think they remade that already, and then they put it in Halloween Kills, where he kills all the kids. Spoiler alert. And
hey, movie's been out for
uses their masks on their bodies and hangs them up. So there you go.
If this is Shark Tank, I'm out. I'm out on this one.
You mean you don't want to hear that great jingle?
All right, John Watson.
I hate you for even doing that right now.
I guess he wants us to comment on the upcoming remake of the Exorcist trilogy. I don't think the Exorcist needs a remake at all, personally.
It's in the hands of David Gordon Green, correct? I'm interested to see the first one. That's all I'll say. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Exorcist is a classic movie. I don't really fuck. There's no,
Exorcist 2 is dog shit.
you can listen to a number of episodes and hear me and Brian talk about how we don't fuck with possession movies like that. But
only if we,
I'll check it out.
I won't. I'm out.
I don't need a remake of Exorcist 2 because that movie fucking sucks.
On Twitter, he said either a sequel of Jason X where Jason causes mayhem on Earth 2 in the year 2455, or hey, hold on. He's about to reel y'all back in. Or a sequel reboot for the last Friday the 13th from 2009. A sequel?
Absolutely.
All right,
give me a sequel. I don't want no reboot. Give me a sequel.
I'm in on the second one, but anything Jason X related can go to hell.
I can't believe this man likes Manhattan more than X.
All right, here's a good one. Trey Rowland, friend of the show.
Smart.
An It prequel, all the shit that happened in Derry over the years, and an Army of Darkness remake. I've never seen Army of Darkness. Yep. I haven't seen any of the Evil Deads.
I'll take both. I'll take both because I'm interested to see a modern Evil Dead movie that not the remake, but like a different in someone else's hands that can write a good script. Like I'd like to see it, and I definitely want to see. Yeah, me too. I'm in on that.
It prequel all the way in. Now, when you said Army, you reminded me of something. I was actually surprised that Brian didn't pitch an Army of the Dead sequel. So
that's what I actually wrote that, typed that out in a text message, and I just deleted it and then just said 21 Fear Street, and I tried to make a different joke.
I'd be here for that though.
21. No. God damn it. No. No.
Austin Graham. He said, I want a Kill Theory 2. I haven't seen Kill Theory. Have y'all seen Kill Theory?
I haven't. I've never seen it. That's one thing I've never seen.
D.Y. Hunt said a Killer Clowns from Outer Space sequel. Never seen that one either.
Yep.
We're going to do it at some point.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space is good. It's actually good. It's so bad. Yeah. It's so bad it's good, and I would definitely take a sequel to that film. Absolutely.
It's a Howard the Duck of the horror movies to me.
Yep. I think I would rather have a reboot than a sequel, but I'd take either.
A new Hellraiser movie? No, we're not doing that.
Oh, I got one. No. I have a pitch. You ready?
Oh God.
It starts with making one that doesn't fucking suck. That's my pitch.
Sean,
try that first.
Sean, I'll put some thought into this, and I'll get back to you on that. That's a solid franchise that deserves more than just me spitballing off the top of my head. Shut your mouth. I'll let you have the floor. You let me talk. I'm done. Just don't shit on the movie. Go ahead, Nick.
There's some you haven't even seen yet. How do you know?
And they're great.
No, they're not.
They're better than Army of the Dead.
No,
nobody.
No, they're not. No, they're not. No,
better than fucking The Descent. God, why am I shitting on Brian? He didn't even say anything. Hang on.
Why are you shitting on the
audio off? The last one is this is a question. She said, this is Michelle Mirza, Beetlejuice and Hocus Pocus. Two movies loved by many. There's been a lot of talk over the years of each of them getting a sequel. What do you guys think? Do these need sequels or should they be left alone? We've already done Beetlejuice. I would honestly watch another Beetlejuice movie.
I kind of spoke on that.
He does Beetlejuice. I would watch that one. Hocus Pocus, I don't think you need a sequel to Hocus Pocus, personally.
But I don't think.
Yeah, I agree because you didn't even need an original.
Oh, here we go.
Man picked Ghost of Mars and is going to shit on Hocus
Pocus. I don't think you could recapture the
audacity.
Those movies have a certain like charm that I just really don't think that you can recapture. To be honest with you, and
that's my point. Yeah,
I would have 100% watched the proposed sequel that almost happened, where Beetlejuice goes to Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yes.
Yeah,
I would have watched that. 100%.
I don't think I would. I would. Oh, I'd watch it. But.
Number 2, Hocus Pocus is a children's movie. Number 3. Nico, you said I picked Ghost of Mars. Find me that episode in our archives. Find it for me.
I have the text messages if you want it.
You have text messages where I said I don't like this movie. I just think that we should talk about it.
You still picked it, pal, and you thought it was good when you picked it.
20 years ago, I thought it was good. Sue me.
Well, saying. I mean, Nico's got nostalgia for the film. I also don't like Hocus Pocus. I really don't. I actually think it's pretty bad. However, I understand why people like it. I don't want to see a sequel to it because I think you can only capture that lightning in a bottle once. The same way I think I love Halloween Town. Again, a children's movie. Love Halloween Town. All the sequels after that suck. So, or relatively anyway. So I would just keep it the first one. So, and Beetlejuice, I'd watch it, but I kind of touched on it in our episode where I just don't think it's necessary, man. That movie is so timelessly classic that I would just leave it alone.
Any more final thoughts before we shout out our blood donors and announce our next episode? All right. Our blood donors, thank you to all of you. Camp Level, reoccurring, Clayton J, Nina, and Miss Michelle Merzer. Thank you all very much. Camp Counselor, reoccurring, my man Hunter Nelson, Karen, Shan Petrusevich, and Dennis Kennedy. Thank you all very much. And our new legendary blood donor, which we'll have to get Miss Missy Wall on the schedule. She's our newest blood donor. Looking forward to reviewing your movie down the road once business is not booming and we don't have 1,000 episodes to do a month. But we love that we're busy right now. Our next episode we're doing, we'll go ahead and announce it. This past Friday, Thursday night, whatever you want to say, Halloween Kills released on Peacock and in theaters. It's one of the most anticipated horror movies of the year, if not the most anticipated. So we're going to be reviewing a very, very in-depth, spoiler-filled review. So don't listen to the episode and get mad if we spoil anything. We're telling you now it's a spoiler review. I think this is going to be a great episode. I'm sure, I don't know how Dustin feels about the movie, but me, Mike, and Brian so far have pretty much liked it. It's not perfect to me. I have some issues, no doubt, and I'm looking forward to hearing my three brothers' opinions on the movie and honestly where ends goes, because what I've read from David Gordon Green, I don't know if I'm a fan of where he's taking it, but we'll talk about it. Any final thoughts before we end the episode?
Yeah. No, let's save that for that episode.
I appreciate you all greenlighting all three of my movies. Once they actually get greenlit, I will be leaving this show as I will retire to a private island.
Yeah, listen, thanks, Mike, for doing this and picking this. This was one of my most anticipated episodes, I think, that we've done in recent memory. I loved doing this and sitting down and writing this and coming up with this stuff.
Yeah, upload yours to those blogs, man. I think that would be a really good cat. Like, I think it's a really good read. I'm excited.
Well, I meant all of ours.
Oh, I know. I'm just right. No, I know. But you have a whole ass outline scripted, it, man. I think that'd be a good blog, dude.
I might stretch mine and put as much detail in mine as what you did, Brian. And
I'm definitely going to do it with that. I'm definitely going to do it with my Scream one for sure. Now I'm going to sit down.
I had a great time. I think we all did tonight. So I just want to thank our fans and listeners one more time. Well, business has been booming. We appreciate the support, and y'all have a good one. Just want to remind everybody.